All right, thank you everybody for choosing to check out my session here, PPE Landscape Sourcing from China 2020 and Beyond. Some ideas and theories and inspiration for you. I'm Michael Michelini, the host at Global from Asia. First off, I want to say thank you, Global Sources online show, and the whole team at Global Sources. I've been talking to you quite a bit lately, and I know how much work it is to do these events, and I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone watching definitely give them a shout out on social or on other channels. Let them know they're working really hard. So thank you again, Global Sources. A little bit about myself. I'm Michael Michelini, podcaster, blogger, community guy, e-commerce seller, and content creator. I've been selling online since 2004 when I was in New York City, and got into Global Sources trade show in 2007 and other parts of Asia, and haven't looked back. Been here, married with kids, as you can see in the photo, and I just love online business, internet business, cross-border trade. I also have a little personal video blog if you want to check out some of the kids stuff. So let's talk about what's happened with this PPE market the last few months. As anybody knows, it's been a roller coaster ride, starting in early 2020 when COVID came out in mainland China and then went global. I think March was probably the peak of the craze, and it definitely was a high type of market. I've been involved quite a bit with the community and with people buying and selling these PPE products. Of course, there's masks, there's all kinds of different thermometers, there's even ventilators, which is a little bit risky to get involved with. And of course, there's gloves, which has been really, really hot and popular product later into 2020 season and mid-year. I've been talking a lot about that. So I've also gotten experience with my own little system, Load Pipe, where we've worked with people to buy the products and work with people. So that's been quite intense. So I've gotten some great insights, and I have to say, I have to break it to you, the cowboy period, I call it the cowboy period, is over. What that means is everybody was rushing into the market, prices were sky high, people were doing multi-million dollar, billion-dollar deals. I'm not saying the money's gone, but I'm saying the cowboys, these kind of opportunists, these people that fly by night businesses that set up companies and did major deals. Unfortunately, there was a lot of scammers. There's unfortunately still is a lot of scammers in the market, but it's getting much more of a calm and more of a mature market. I'm not saying that there's no space for you to get involved. What I'm saying is the fly-by-night businesses that were setting up shop to do this to make quick money is gone. So today's session, I'm going to share a couple of different ideas for you to position yourself when you're sourcing these products from China using global sources, using your channels, using your relationships. And basically, I think the first decision you need to make and when you're sourcing these products is which product category are you going to do? Are you going to do the consumer grade, where what that means is product that the retail consumer home households, normal retail businesses, they're buying them. Sometimes we've sold these to businesses that want to give their staff at a store or a restaurant or other places. Of course, end use for families, for friends, for your own use, for your children's use. That's consumer grade, which is definitely helping in preventing the spread of this virus. But then the second one, which is much more sensitive, but I think this is where the bigger deals are happening, is medical grade PPE. And again, just so you know, PPE, personal protective equipment. All right, keep that one in mind, PPE. And this one is much more sensitive. You can't just jump in and jump out. I'll share you some opportunities with that one as well as where we're going in the future with this industry and this position. So first, you got to think about that. We'll talk about those two in this session today, but I just want you to think. Maybe you have an idea already before we even talked about it. But I'm going to talk about a couple of different ways you could do business and make money and source from these two different positions. So first, I'm going to start with the opportunity of sourcing for the consumer grade PPE. Personal protective equipment. First is the example Custom Ink. So this is a website. I have no affiliation with them. I don't know them at all. The only way I know them is my friend's sister works there, and they do provide custom prints, as the name sounds, right? I was thinking it was tattoo, but it's custom ink, like t-shirts, hats, and other products. They were shutting down during the COVID crisis. They were firing or laying people off or sending people home. But what happened was this is what their normal website looked like. Okay, this is normally what they did. They were doing, hats and shirts, and of course that was dropping. Nobody's buying this stuff during this COVID pandemic nightmare. But this is what it looks like if you check it out today. You'll see they sell masks, sanitizers, other products in stock, ready to ship. So this is what I would say is consumer grade trading, right? They're not targeting hospitals. They're not targeting medical institutions that has high requirements for, certifications. They're targeting people that are using this for their own use, personal use, or small business use for preventing the spread of the virus. So you can see there your design here. So I've been seeing this for the last few months. People want to, it's a fashion statement, right? It's a product you're wearing on your face, similar to a t-shirt, it's similar to, your shoes. It's something you're actually wearing on a day-to-day basis. So I think if you're trading in the PPE space now as consumer grade, it's a little bit easier for you to get in and out of this market because the regulations and the import and the export documents aren't as strict as medical grade. So I would suggest you trying to position yourself here, whether if you're lucky enough to have a print business like this in your home market. I definitely think if you haven't seen it already, this is a huge opportunity for you to, instead of t-shirts, printing masks, printing these other kits, maybe even bundling gift bundles for your, also offices need to bundle this for their house, for their offices to reopen, need to have hand sanitizer, need to have masks for their workers. You could do these for a custom gift or a custom package for staff for a company, and it could have their company's logo on it, right? So you have to be a little bit creative. You could probably talk to different people you source on global sources. You could probably also ask them to do this for you. I'm sure that these factories would have no problem doing this, even on lower quantities. I think right now the consumer grade PPE is a little bit oversupply, so you should be able to bargain with them and get it done in China. You could even work on it on a per order basis. But this is definitely, I think, what I would say is the best way to position yourself in the PPE market as an import-export trader right now. Let's talk about the second opportunity. The second opportunity here is medical grade PPE. This one, as I said before, PPE, personal protective equipment, medical grade. Take some notes. Medical grade is very strict. This is something actually you need usually, especially in the US, to import this. You need a FDA certificate. You need to have these documents and special certificates. It's not something you can just find online and buy and import and sell. So this is a little bit more risky. They were loosening this up during the real peak of the sourcing and buying, in Q1, Q2 of 2020, but now I think it's a little bit harder for you to do these medical grade in your own company name unless you have, an FDA license, especially for the US. I'm not sure about your home market, but I would just say it's not as easy to export and import. Plus, it's also very, depends on your market. It depends on the factory. There's white lists you might have heard of from China allowing factories to export these and import these into your country. So my recommendation is to not be a trader, to not take possession of these products, to not have these in your warehouse in China, to not have these in your warehouse in your home country. They're first of all highly regulated, and second of all there's a lot of fraud, and third of all, you have a lot of risk if you're the buyer or the seller. So when I say as an agent means you have an agreement, normally with the factory, where there's transparency and you get a broker commission paid to your company directly. So you match buyer and seller, they do the business together, they make the contract together, and then you have a commission. So I've seen it, of course it depends. Sometimes the factory will tell you what's the standard commission they will pay. It could be like 1 penny, 5 pennies US, 0.01, 0.05 per piece, or percentage. Usually it's a per piece item. That's how we've seen it. And this is, I had to blank out some of it, but this is some contracts. My corporate company, Global Information is my blog and podcast, but my corporate company, Shadstone Limited, this is a simple contract where it says I'm the agent of this company and this trade, and this is the buyer and this is the seller, and I will get this commission paid after the trade is done. Of course, there's some trust here. There is a legal contract, but you still, of course, need to be a little bit careful that you're doing business with people you can trust. So I know some people are nervous about this. You could also, this will be a separate payment. You will get paid separately depending on this is from the buyer side or seller side. But this is the way I strongly recommend it. And then notice here, this is the contract between the buyer and the seller. Notice my company, Shadstone Limited, is not on the contract. I'm not in the contract of the buy and sell. I have a contract with the supplier to be paid a smaller percentage per unit as a separate contract. So this is one contract, and this is a second contract with the buyer and the seller. I'm not at all on this contract. So that's the way I recommend to do medical grade PPE. The deals are much bigger, and you won't have the risk of fraud. You won't have risk, of QC or exports. You are a matchmaker. You're a deal maker. I think a lot of you are these people. So instead of you buying it and holding it, or you buying it and then trying to resell it in the middle, I think you should have a more transparent agreement. And this is actually like a quote list I made for my company, and we put the factory name. Notice I'm showing the factory name. I know a lot of you might think that's crazy, but these companies are backlogged. They are, they're not as easy to get through to anymore. So if you have this relationship with these factories that have these certificates that are on these white lists, you should be confident that they will work with you. You have to, of course, work your relationships, but I show the factories directly on my list when I talk to my buyer, okay, because I'm an agent, and then I have my fee in the middle as a separate contract. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Maybe a few months ago, people were not showing the factory. People were sending quotes to their buyer. They were getting the price. I know I would call that trading. I call this more like an agent or a broker model. As always, it's always about relationships. Hopefully you've maybe come to some Global Sources shows in the past, or you've come to, build relationships with some of these companies. But even if you're not, you tell them you're an experienced import-export agent. You have customers in your home country. You want to make an agent agreement with them. You want to bring them customers. They will be happy with that. Of course, they do. If they are in the medical grade, they are backlogged. Okay, it's not that easy still to get a qualified medical grade PPE factory. You do need to have relationships there, so you can add value in the supply chain. Because these are my little pictures here to keep interesting. There is a backlog, okay, for medical grade. And you need to have a partner, and you have a contract with them, and you need to work with them. Sometimes maybe you don't have that relationship. Maybe somebody has that relationship. You can also have a co-broker deal. So we've done that too. We've split the commission with someone else. So we show our commission agreement, and then we split it, or maybe we give them 30% depending on how much they're involved. But you do have to have these relationships and trust in the market. And I just want to say, transparency will always win. I think if you are in it for fast money, I know there's these stories of somebody that got a Lamborghini because they did a huge order of masks. That can still happen for you, and it still can, but it's not going to be fast, and I believe long-term value. So you want to use your relationships you already have, and you want to strengthen them. You don't want to burn your bridges. You don't want to burn relationships. You want to use your sourcing experiences, finding these quality suppliers, making a good list presentation to your buyer, showing your experience with doing trading, and everybody can win. And we still can use this opportunity to build relationships. We can reach out to our government officials, to these large corporations, and say that we can help them to source products. I think they would like the transparency that you say, I will show you the factory name, I will have a small commission, I will be fully transparent. I do think that will be a better way nowadays than say, I'm a middleman, I won't show you my source, I won't show you who I do business with, you got to pay to this escrow first or sign a contract with me first. This is not going to work. It was already not really working even in the peak of the COVID, but even definitely now people aren't going to work with you that way. You have to be transparent. And this is me again, with my kids, my wife, and have a team, build relationships and be transparent. You're a real person. Show people who you are. So that's really my main points for today. I hope I inspired you. Just to recap, if you're doing consumer grade, don't stress too much about of course you don't want to sell like non-effective product, but it's not as highly regulated. It's mostly for preventing the spread of the virus. It's not meant for hospitals, nurses, medical use, government use. So those you can do more creative, like designs, sell them to companies, sell them to consumers, get a deal with the factory to custom brand it for you. And then second, medical grade, I would say, is be an agent, set up a commission agreement, and work your relationships transparently. So this is a little bit about my blog and podcast. In 2013, I started this to help people learn business about China and Asia. We do a cross-border trade. We help people all around the world. The course is in English, and we do have a premium membership if you're interested. I hope today helped you. And you always got to think, why are you doing what you do? Do you enjoy what you do? Because that's the most important thing. And I would say using this PPE sourcing time, building relationships with China, building relationships with factories, building relationship with your buyers, your current buyers, even if a lot of people were not in PPE before, but they're getting into it because, that's what they have to. I literally just had a call with somebody today. She's like a fashion designer in Hong Kong, and now she's doing fashion design for masks, So just be creative, and I really wish you the best, and make things happen. This is what I love to do. If you ever have anything to shoot out to me, I think we'll have some live Q&A after. But you can reach out to me and the team, and I wish you the best in your sourcing of PPE and in your journey. And again, thank you, Global Sources, and the first Global Sources online show. Good luck with all your online sourcing. Take care.